Hello, Helena, and welcome to Business Unusual Helena Edition. I am Jana May, and I am your local real estate expert with Exit Magic City Realty. I live in Helena, Alabama, and I have called it my hometown since 2010. And I love everything there is about Helena. So I thought I'd invite our city leaders on so you can see why this is such an awesome city to live in. We are very fortunate to have Brian Puckett join us today. Brian currently sits on the Helena City Council in place 2, and you may have noticed he is also running for mayor. So without further ado, I am delighted to introduce you to Brian Puckett. Brian, thank you so much for coming on to Business Unusual Helena Edition. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to come on and chat with you so that all that your viewers and everybody around Helena can get to know me a little bit better if you already don't know so. But a little bit about me. I have been in here in Helena for about 15 years now. And it's one of those deals where there's no other place that I want to be. So I grew up in Auburn, which was a small town when I was growing up. So to be able to move to a major city like Birmingham area, but then have that small town feel is just something that I never want to lose, because that's what brings the charm to any city that you live in, and Helena has really got that going for them. As far as my volunteer work and what I do throughout the community, so first and foremost, I was appointed to the Helena City Council back in the beginning of 2019 to fill a vacant seat. And with that came the responsibility of, I knew that I only had about a year and a half to see how much that I could get done to make sure that Helena had great change to better the town. So with that, I had a crosswalk project that's in Old Town, and then at the high school that I was spearheading. We redid the website for the city to make it more community feel and friendly, and then also brought to the council to vote the SRO at the elementary school. So we always had an elementary school SRO for the past several years, but really this was an opportunity to fully fund a full-time officer to be in that position.
SRO, that's a resource officer.
The police officer, resource officer, absolutely. So definitely want to make sure that our kids and the parents that drop their kids off at school know that they're going to that safe environment. And that's just an extra layer of security that we can provide for them. So that's all been done basically in the past 16 months of being on city council. But before that, I was a part of the beautification board since 2015 for Helena. So you might notice the hanging baskets were not obviously this year because of the COVID, and we were unable to get volunteers out because of all the quarantine to get those planted. But the landscape, the Earth Kind Rose Trial, all of those things are things that I've done through the beautification board. Then I've been on various PTOs for both the elementary school and the intermediate school, and it's being a treasurer, a secretary. I've done box top. I've done a little bit of everything. It is really just to be able to give back to the community. And then with sports related items, I am on the board of directors for the Helena Soccer Board. So we help out a lot with the Parks and Recreation Department to make sure that the recreational soccer runs smooth each spring and fall. And then I do coach my daughters and stepson as well for soccer. So I try to be hands-on as much as I possibly can, but nuts and bolts, that's a little bit about how I'm involved with the community.
And thank you so much. So you mentioned you have 2 daughters and a stepson. I've got a stepson. Love them.
Yeah. So I actually have 4 total daughters, or 2 stepdaughters, 2 original daughters, the original gangsters for me, and then I've got a stepson as well. So I've got 5 total in the house.
Wow.
So it's always loud and crazy.
Yes. What are the age range? What's the age range?
So from 11 to 6.
Whoa.
So they're yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's loud.
so they are all grouped together. 1 minute you got them all having fun together, and then the next minute they're trying to figure out who they can make mad.
Yeah, yeah. And here, kitty,
But I
kitty,
love,
kitty, trying to get them all
yeah,
organized. Yeah.
exactly. But it's one of those things that I just love every minute of it, when to be able to just to hear the noise and know that it's a
Yeah.
loving household and a loving family.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. You've got a master's in business admin. I did that
I
too.
do.
Not
Yeah.
master's, no. Undergrad. And you're a project manager, is that correct?
So that had recently changed. I am actually the head of e-signature for Regions Bank. So
Wow.
the entire digital signature platform and program runs under me and my team. So it spans the entire organization. So you're looking at 35,000 or so users, or 25,000 users that are bank associates. But then you got all the customers that are interacting with it as well. And then as far as budget, and this is one of the good experiences that I like to point out, is because people always say, well, what type of budget experience do you have? And that was one of those questions that I got when I was doing the interviews for being appointed for city council, so forth like that, because budgeting a household budget is great. And we need to have that foundation. But then when you're looking at a budget that is multi-million-dollar budgets, how are you managing those? And that's one of the things that I have to do with my profession on a daily basis, is not only manage people, manage projects, manage technology, which I really don't know much about, but I'd have a lot of great experts that work with me, because I definitely rely on those experts for me. But then that budget, and so the budget that I have for the bank is actually more than the city's budget annually. So I have that experience of how to deal with those large dollar revenues and expenses.
Yes. Yes. And I see somebody answered my call. There was I saw a cat behind you. Kitty, kitty.
Yes, yes.
She answered my call.
So I've got one that likes to stay in here in the office with me a good bit of the day, and then I've got one who absolutely refuses to come into the office.
Yeah. Khaleesi was my office manager, who would walk across all the time.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So what do you like to do for fun?
What I like to do, I like to relax and work in my own yard.
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals where really it's, if I can be outside in the backyard and have the smoker going, so I can have a good old dinner.
I'm coming. I'm on my way. I'll see you in a minute, Brian.
Absolutely. But then also doing some vegetable gardening and stuff like that, just things that I can do and be hands-on with me and all the kids out in the yard, and just having fun and just spending time together.
Awesome. Just curious, with the beautification board, are y'all all master gardeners, or are you a master gardener? Just curious. No,
I'm actually a rosarian. But that didn't come until after being on the beautification board. So all of the beautification board members have expertise that are typically outside of gardening. So we have a professional photographer. So we rely on him to be able to capture blooms, events that we do, all those kind of things. So I'm sure you've seen his photography around town, John Hodge. So he does a phenomenal job for us. But we've got people who are really good at organizing. So really, we looked, when we built the beautification board, it was more along the lines of, let's get all these people who are really good at a specific thing, because we can teach them about the plants and the roses and all of those type of things, but we really need their expertise that we can rely on for marketing and so forth like that. I mean, the community involvement is definitely something that I pride myself on, and it's not something that, because anybody can say that they're involved with the community, but are you just sitting on some roll call? are you actually getting your hands dirty for the community? So
Right.
that's one of the things that I think that really separates me from everyone else, is that I'm actually have been out there and aren't just out there 2 months before an election. It's
Right.
every single month, every single year, I'm out there running.
Awesome. And thank you. Thank you for all that you do. And y'all did the
Absolutely.
Christmas tree, right, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've done it for 3 years now. So it was one of those crazy ideas that came in the middle of a night, and I was like, well, why aren't we doing this? So it was one of those deals where it's like, okay, let's see what we have to do in order to make this a reality.
Right.
So each time we do the Christmas tree lighting, we're planning 6 months in advance. Because we'll bring in a live tree that we can replant throughout the city, so that we have that sustainability and education component of it. So we go up to Chattanooga, is actually where we get our farm up there, is where we get all of our trees.
Awesome. Thank you. And I love it. I've been there every year. Well, last year I was at a booth. I was with Helena Business Association, so on the other end. Yeah. Is Chris Van Cleve, is he the one who was the president?
Yeah, he's the chairman of the beautification board, and I'm the vice chairman. Yes. He's a great man.
He is. I did some lives of the Christmas tree lighting, and he went out of his way to personally thank me, and I'm like, who does that? Chris does that.
Exactly. He does. He really does.
I love everybody, all the leaders of my community, even the grumpy ones.
There's a lot of great volunteers in this town. Yeah.
Your dreams for the future.
So I've always felt a calling and a passion for this community. So even before I was on city council, I was doing everything I could to give back to the community. So this is another opportunity for me to continue giving back to all the citizens and visitors and everybody who likes to say Helena's home. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, I would like to do everything I can to make this town a better place, not only for us today, but 20 years down the road.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Because I plan to be here 20 years down the road. So
I do too.
It's seeing what Helena in the past 8 years, how it's grown, not just that it's grown, but like Old Town, we got restaurants and there's a lot to come to Helena for. So
there are, and there's and Helena, the makeup of Helena has changed here in the past couple of years, and it'll continue to change when we get more commercial items that are already in the developments over there across from Publix and Zaxby's and all that area. So we've got to make sure that yes. So one of my big goals is to make sure that we know that Helena is going to continue growing, but we have to do it in the right way. We have to do it in a way that makes sense for all of the people that live here, but also who is going to live here down the road. So we want to make sure that we don't get stuck behind an 8 ball in order to because we see something shiny in front of us and we want to get it. Well, that something shiny may be great today, but is it going to be best for us down the road? So we need to make sure that we're weighing all of our options on all the things that we do to make sure that our growth that we have in Helena is actually great growth.
Awesome. Yes, we do want great growth when we grow, because there are always going to be growing pains, but
absolutely.
But we'll all get through it.
But exactly. And we know that there's going to be growing pains with everything we do, but how are we going to mitigate as much of that pain as possible? Exactly. So that's the thing, is it's not necessarily the solution that we see in front of us, it's the ancillary problems that may arise from around it. So we got to think about those kind of things when we make those decisions.
Yes, y'all do. Y'all sure do, because my comfort matters. Yeah.
Yes, it
My
does.
ease to
It
get
does.
to the next listing appointment or matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you live in Helena, you will have seen Brian Puckett for mayor signs. So, Brian, tell us about your platform for running for mayor.
Absolutely. So the main things that I like to focus on for my platform is our infrastructure, the schools, and then being able to market our city in a way that is attractive and people that live here can be truly proud of.
Yeah.
So those are the main three goals. And there's obviously different bullet point items that I have that are under each one of those to go into more granular detail of the infrastructure and how we move forward in growth for our city.
Oh, yes, thank you, because that infrastructure and that 261 and 52 needs to be infrastructured. It's a part-time job.
Correct.
Right.
That's right.
So,
yeah, but I will be quitting my job with the bank to actually run the city full time.
Thank you.
So it's one of those deals where I don't think anybody should be able to run the city at a part-time pace, because our city, there's too much at stake for it. We're too big of a city for that to be just a going and in 20 hours a week. That's not. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job, and it needs to be treated that way.
Yeah, and I mean that's a sacrifice for you, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. But it was one of those deals where I knew that I was financially, I'm in the right place to do it. My wife is fully supportive and 110% behind me on it. So
that's
like,
important.
Okay, let's do this.
You need that.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, if she wasn't behind me and supporting me and continue pushing me and making sure that that I stay positive on all this stuff, that I don't know if I'd be able to do it, because she has been the rock.
We're voting. The election is taking place at the Sports Complex, correct? On August 25th?
That's correct. August 25th, Tuesday, August 25th from 7 to 7. You can come and vote anytime, but only vote once. Yeah. But I will be there the entire time. So if anybody ever has any questions, one of the things I pride myself on is having that open door. So people can message me, call me, email me today. But then even if they don't feel comfortable with that and they just want to stop by when they go in to vote and ask questions, we can do that too. So I'll be on hand, standing there.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm meeting such wonderful people doing this. Good. Brian, thank you.
And it's awesome that you've done it. So thank you so much for having me on today. It's been a great honor to talk to you and to be able to share my story with you, but then also share it with everybody else here in Helena.
Be safe, be healthy, and be unusual. Bye, Helena.